What's up, everybody? I'm Joan.
And I'm Reilly.
And you're listening to Anyways. So today we have a very special guest. This is my captain.
Yes.
My captain, oh captain. Would you like to introduce yourself?
I am Sam Reagan. I'm captain of the Sam Houston Quidditch team. Pretty nerdy, pretty jockey at the same time. It's a lot of fun, though.
Yes, we have lots of fun.
Thanks for coming over here
Absolutely.
and, representing Quidditch. We get to see a bit of Joan's side today.
This is, yes, can you tell I chose this interview? We're trying to find people to interview.
Attire.
The attire and everything, yes. My beating headband in honor of Coleman Green. But yes, I was asked who should we interview, and I thought, well, why not the Quidditch team?
Yes.
First one out the gate. Let's interview the Quidditch team. So I'm very excited for this interview.
Yes.
So
as am I, because I don't know anything about
Reilly,
Quidditch.
yeah, Reilly has
probably a lot
Quidditch.
of people who are listening. So
yeah. So will you start us off with what is Quidditch?
Quidditch is kind of a mixture between a bunch of different sports. It obviously developed from the Harry Potter books, but the size of the field is a lot like basketball. So how the spacing ends up working out with passing the ball around. It's a lot like basketball, and then you get all the physicality of rugby. You got a mixture of a dodgeball game mixed in the middle of it. It's a lot of chaos, and one of the things I like to say is for someone like me with a bunch of ADHD, having 500 different things going on at the same time, it's magical. So,
yes. It literally is. I mean, it came from Harry Potter.
Yeah,
exactly,
I mean, how much magical? How much
a little
more
different
magical
magic.
do you
Yeah.
get? Yeah.
Is it magical for you, Joan?
It is magical. It's so magical. It's great. The only thing that'd make it better is if we could fly, which we do not fly.
Yeah, maybe someday.
Someday, when the technology is there.
Yes.
But that would be really dangerous, in my opinion.
Ooh.
Like, already seeing all the injuries.
If y'all could get like nets, like trapeze artists, like a net underneath the playing
what's
field.
the fun in that?
So you don't die.
Anyways,
okay.
So there are different positions on the Quidditch field, kind of like in a football game. Could you tell us a little bit about each position, and which position is your favorite position?
So there's three main positions. One of them, we'll start off with yours, is the beater. Yes. The beater is the mixture of the dodgeball aspect, which I mentioned. They throw bludgers around, which in real life we call them dodgeballs. So if a beater hits you with a bludger, you are what we call beat. You're out of play. You have to run back to your hoops before you can continue play. The other side of the field is the chasers and keepers. They play with the quaffle, and they're the ones actually trying to put the ball through the hoop. Mm-hmm. If they put the ball through the hoop, they get 10 points for their own team, and the ball turns over to the team that just gets scored on, just kind of like basketball.
Yeah.
And then the third position is the seeker. The seeker chases the snitch. Mm-hmm. Very iconic part of Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Very much different in the real life version.
Oh yeah. For our listeners who don't know, can you explain what the snitch is, Sam?
The snitch. We have not been able to create a good way to catch a little flying ball. So our next best option is we strapped it to the back of a big 300-pound guy. You got to wrestle for it. So
I love that.
It's attached by Velcro. You have to either chase him around or try to wrestle him, whatever he really decides.
Gotcha.
And once you catch it, the game is over. It's worth 30 points in the real life Quidditch versus I think 250 in the books. But that's just one of the differences, I guess. But those are the three main positions. They're lots of fun.
Yes.
There's a lot of people that will play kind of both or multiple positions, not at the same time, but
yeah.
Although that would be pretty cool. You just switch the headbands on the fields. Yeah. I mean, we've done that a few times.
Yeah.
Honestly, I really liked hearing because I'm familiar with the game from the books, but I just never knew how. And I knew Quidditch was a thing that people didn't realize, but I just didn't know how it was translated onto a real field. And so, hearing that, it's really cool.
Because we are cool.
I mean, you are, yeah.
Yeah, we're probably...
We like to think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're pretty cool.
You are.
We have an I Am Leagues trophy and everything. We're pretty cool.
What I
Pretty
saw
official.
that. What was that?
I don't know. It's like an online trophy.
We got an online trophy.
Yeah, we have an online trophy now. So I mean,
Ooh.
we're pretty cool. We're
Yes.
pretty cool. So what position do you like the most, Sam?
I like keeper the most. They're the one that interacts with the quaffle and scores the points by putting the ball through the hoop. My main position used to be beater. A little while back, I think the beaters to me are kind of like the linemen in football.
Mm-hmm.
They do a lot of the dirty work and a lot of the front line stuff, but don't get a lot of the credit.
Back
Don't get a lot of the credit.
That's accurate.
So, not that I switched over to try to get more credit, but I really just like playing the keeper side more. The beaters, there's not as many people like to play beater, but for those that do, it's very appreciated because you got to have those good people up front, kind of making lanes and making moves for the whole team.
Yeah.
Kind of follow behind.
Yeah. And the keeper's like super important because he basically plans out what we're doing, like what strategy or what play. Like in football, where they have different plays, we have many different plays. So as keeper, you kind of call which plays we're running that time, or he kind of sees where the lanes are to score, and all the jobs. This even the chasers are important. But yeah, keeper is pretty important.
Yeah, I mean it's a team sport. It really is.
It really is. Yeah, it is. It's one of those things that a lot of people kind of come to, and they're like, oh man, like all these nerds are playing the sport. I'm gonna kind of come through and carry the team, and those teams always kind of end up falling through because they quickly realize it's just like any other sport.
Yeah,
it's those that are completely well rounded, that end up being the really good teams and end up being really successful.
Yeah. Speaking of your team's success, I know that you guys are you guys have like a pretty high title, or like you're like up there in the ranks in terms of like schools in Texas, or is it nationally?
I haven't checked the rankings lately. I think last time I checked, we were top 10 in the country.
Dang.
So we're doing pretty good. Obviously, when we're that close to the top, you kind of have your eye on the prize.
Yeah.
Because you can it can go either way with it in any game with any team. But we finished this last weekend in the Final Four of the hardest region in the country. And then we got our qualification for nationals.
Gotcha.
So we beat A&M, who's one of the was like kind of the same boat as us, one of the best teams. They can kind of beat anybody. But I think we got about a month and a half before we go to nationals.
Ooh, that's exciting.
We're gonna see if we can beat them all.
Definitely.
So what do you think is something that sets you guys' team apart from others, that like is kind of the key to you guys' success, and what really sets you guys apart?
A lot of it is, it's kind of hard to explain without being there, but it's kind of the team camaraderie. A lot of times when you see like our team interact with each other, we do all truly enjoy like being around each other. We're out there to have fun, and my goal as the captain is that's my goal to kind of create as an environment. We're not big enough yet, hopefully, to where we're like winning scholarships off this or like getting paid for it yet. But it's a club sport. I see in our team more than I see in any other team that we play against, is we really truly like being around each other. But what was your original question?
I said what makes you set apart from other teams.
Teams, yeah. That would really be it, which I really like, and I really like the group of people that I have. As of the past.
Yeah, because I mean, it's like, what's the point of doing anything if you're not enjoying it? Yeah,
exactly.
Next question, Joan.
Yeah, sorry. Just a little tear. Like, yes, teamwork. So many people, like when we do tabling, ask, what is the sport closely to? And I've heard a lot of different responses from different people on the team. So I want to know, what do you think the sport is closely related to?
I've played a lot of sports growing up. I played like the main three, like football, baseball, basketball. I even got like a little into hockey, just like street hockey for a little
I
while.
was gonna say in Texas.
Yeah, in Texas. It was really weird. One of my friends had a hockey stick, and then I ended up doing swimming and water polo for a while. That's what I played in high school, and then right before Quidditch, I was playing Ultimate. Across all the sports, I still think it's closest to basketball.
Basketball, okay.
And then hockey's right in there with it. Only because hockey, you can skate around the backside of the goal.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of the same thing in Quidditch because you have those hoops. You can go on the backside of the hoops.
Gotcha.
As well as the front side. But the spacing of it, how you pass the ball around, it's all like basketball with a dodgeball game thrown right in the middle of it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, just to put into words, that I think that's the best visualization I can kind of give of it.
Mm-hmm.
It's basketball where you kind of run around the backside of the goal with dodgeball thrown in the middle.
Okay.
Is the best thing I can describe it with.
Okay.
Gotcha. Nice. So why did you join Quidditch?
I joined Quidditch because of my friend Hank Doogie. He got involved over at UT. It was right as the sport was kind of transitioning from a bunch of nerds wearing capes and kind of throwing the ball around to developing more into a real sport, I guess.
Yeah, like a traditional sport.
Sport, yeah. It was over there, the first, I think, 5, back then they were called World Cups. Now we call them Nationals. But the first 5 World Cups were won all by Middlebury, some little college up in the Northeast. And as it was transitioning, it was UT kind of took the spearhead and brought a bunch of athletes and said, all right, we're going to change the face of the sport. Mm-hmm. And my friend Hank Doogie was a part of that. That's first awesome. Year. He brought that back home to League City, which is where I was not born, but where I was raised. He showed it to all of our friends there during one summer, and then we all went and at the end of the summer joined our respective college teams. Mm-hmm. And then you'll still see us kind of at tournaments. We'll always kind of get together and nerd out. And it's kind of funny because we all end up kind of spreading out, going to our respective colleges, ended up almost kind of like running each college team because we all got so into it. But yeah, it was my friend Hank Doogie. He showed me Quidditch that one summer, and from there it's all been downhill.
It's all been downhill.
He said, "Yikes!" That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So another thing that I know us Quidditch people love to answer whenever you go to a doctor for an injury or people ask what your hobbies are, do you openly tell people you are the captain of the Quidditch team here at Sam Houston?
Not very often. No.
Doesn't even come up in conversation. Like,
I used to be more vocal about it, but I was like almost after having the same conversation 500 times. I'm like, I just fell, you know.
It's okay, guys.
No, I still kind of have that conversation a lot, even trying to avoid it. People were, I don't know, so eventually somewhere get around to the point of, yeah, I play Quidditch. It's what I do. It's with my free time.
It's the new frontier.
Yeah. And it's a lot of the same questions, like, how does the snitch work? Do y'all really fly? Kind of thing.
I love that question.
Do y'all really fly?
But through like kind of short conversations, I can still kind of show like it is a real sport. Come out and watch. Always know when all the next tournaments are. So I'm like, you know, if you're gonna be in town, come watch. It's fast paced, hard hitting. It is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cue the injuries. But it is really something like you just kind of have to kind of see to really understand. But yeah.
I have a question.
Okay.
So what are some of your worst injuries that you've gotten during your time playing Quidditch for both of you?
My worst one was definitely a broken hand.
Which one was it?
It was my right hand.
Are you dominant?
I'm right hand dominant.
Yikes.
It was on what we call the start of the game is called brooms up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they go ready, brooms up, and then you run forward, and all the balls are lined up in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
And it was at a tryouts for one of the summer leagues called Major League Quidditch, and I was racing. I reached down to try to pick the ball up and like tap it over to my left hand.
Mm-hmm.
Along the ground, and the guy I was racing stuck his foot out, and I ended up kind of tripping as I was reaching down, so all my weight kind of came down against his foot.
Oh no.
Snapped this bone in my hand.
Ouch.
Really bad little exchange, but yeah, that was definitely the worst. I was bartending at the time.
Oh wow!
So I had to learn how to pour left-handed, or else I was like,
yikes.
I gotta be.
So I guess you kind of came. You're like, I'm gonna be ambidextrous now.
It really helped me be ambidextrous.
That's funny.
But that's definitely the worst injury I ever had. Still have 2 screws in my hand.
Oh wow!
So that's fun.
Nice.
You know how long you were out for?
It was, I want to say, a month and a half was probably what I ended up being out for. It was a really quick recovery.
Yeah, that's not too bad.
All the physical therapists it was just like it sounded, but they're like, wow, you're healing really fast. I'm like, I'm just kind of doing what you'll tell me to do. It's verbatim, like, listen to your physical therapist.
Yes. It's a good lesson for everyone.
They're trying to help.
It's a lesson for today. Listen to your PT.
Yeah.
What about you, Joan?
I haven't broken anything yet.
We'll try to keep it that way.
Yes, please. But I have been crushed. That's probably my favorite one. I mean, I've gotten like a minor concussion from getting hit in the head by Travis, but I think my favorite was we weren't even scrimmaging yet. It was just like a drill, and I went to go grab one of the bludgers like I'm supposed to, and all of a sudden this guy tripped on his own feet, and he just bam right on top of me, and all I saw was darkness for a hot second. I was just kind of like, oh no. I was like, did I die? And the next thing I know, they're like picking me up and taking me off the field. I'm just like, what's going on? Wait a minute, I can't move my leg. What's going on? But I don't know, it was weird. And it was really cold too, so like none of my muscles wanted to work either. It was really weird. But I think that's probably my worst injury. I also hurt my wrist, but I like the crushed one.
The wrist was the one you had to actually take time out.
Yeah, I had to take time out for the wrist. I also had to get an X-ray, which is another story for another time. But
that's another episode.
That's a great story. But yeah,
save that for your comedy set.
My comedy set, yeah, definitely. But no, I think I like just being like, oh yeah, I was crushed on the field once. That was pretty epic. But yeah, I'll go with being crushed. Wrist, I can use it. It's fine. You know, crushed is something I will always remember. Yeah. Just light and then darkness.
Just go temporary blind for a second.
You're like, oh, what's going on? Like, it was intense. It was intense. That's for sure. Oof. Yeah, but I have learned that when you go to the health center and they ask you like, how'd you get injured? Just say rugby. Like, that's what I've started saying.
Oh yeah.
I took Savannah, our roommate,
don't give them credit,
who managed to get a concussion over this past weekend. And I took her to the health center, and the lady's like, a concussion? How did you get a concussion? And Savannah looked at me, and, like, looked at her, and she looked at me, and she's like, how? And I was like, rugby practice. And the lady's like, y'all get awfully rough out there. Yeah, and I'm like, yeah, rugby practice, ma'am. But only because I feel like if I say Quidditch, she's going to ask me what Quidditch is, and then if we fly, and all the other fun things that go along with it.
My go-to sport for those little outs are Ultimate.
Ultimate?
Yeah, I was playing Ultimate. It was crazy. We jumped up for the disc same time, hit heads.
Concussion, just like that.
It's fine. That'd be cool if Quidditch, if y'all put it, you know, in those like anti-gravity containers, like in one of those. See how that would work. That'd be interesting. I'd love to see that.
Anyways.
Okay.
What is one of your favorite memories from playing Quidditch?
It probably just has to be collectively. There's a few games I can remember of just that feeling of like when you win a game and everyone rushes the field together is always so amazing. one that comes to mind first was whenever we won. It was when Sam Houston won bottom of the bracket. I think this was 3 years ago. We beat Texas Tech in the championship, and it was the first tournament we had won in a long time. It was bottom of the bracket. It was like the lower tier teams of the region, but still, it was kind of, we were on like the up and coming, and I just remember the whole team rushing. They always rush the seeker. So the seeker's the one that catches the snitch, and he's kind of the ones that gets the last little flag of I won the game. But just everyone rushing over towards the seeker and picking the seeker up is always is one of the funnest experiences like I think you can even feel. But that's one of my favorite memories, just from Quidditch in general. Even just this past one where we got our bid to nationals, we all ran over to Jay and just dogpile Jay basically.
Yeah.
But because we had gotten our ticket basically to go to the national tournament, and we'd just beat A&M. So
that's always nice when you beat A&M.
Yeah.
Yikes. Some Aggies in our comments.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Get some angry
They
comments.
know their shirts.
He's like, they know what they did. We watched their games.
T.
Watch all the plays. Just shakes head. But that is definitely a magical moment. And like you said, like it doesn't matter which bracket it is or what game it is. As soon as someone pulls that snitch and everyone just rushes the team, it's awesome.
A rewarding feeling.
Yes.
Yeah. But because you can't even rush until the ref calls it good, because the catches can get called off basically. Like if the snitch was like impeded or anything, or like it just wasn't clean. There's a lot of rules around it, like any other sport, but it's always fun watching the sideline, because the sideline, they're always just like holding each other back. And as soon as the ref calls it good, like they're just like the floodgates open.
Yeah. You can't stop us after that. It does. It gets pretty crazy out there.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we have some fun questions.
Yes.
Before we get to our really, really fun questions, we have some fun Harry Potter questions.
Yes.
Okay, so what house are you, Sam?
I feel like there needs to be a conversation had about clarifying this.
Conversation had. Okay.
I'm
we got time.
not the biggest Harry Potter person.
Well, we'll just skip
No,
these
no,
questions.
no, it's okay. Because I still do have an opinion.
I
Sorry,
still do have an opinion. It's our mascot.
But yeah, I really got involved with Quidditch, and I was just never really the biggest like Harry Potter fan. And there are a few people in the Quidditch community like that. One of my favorite examples is Ryan and Beth Peevler. I don't know if you.
Oh yes, Beth tackled me.
Beth tackled you? Okay, yeah, they're really good beaters. So yeah, you've probably gone up against them.
Yes.
They're on the Houston Cosmos now, but them as a couple, Beth is like super into Harry Potter. Knows like all the trivia, like on Harry Potter trivia night is always just like the spokesman for it.
Gotcha.
Now her boyfriend at the time when they got involved in Quidditch, now husband, Ryan, doesn't really care for Harry Potter, never really got that into it, but like got into Quidditch like as a couple, and are now like they're one of the best like beater pairs I think to play the sport. But there's kind of like there's an appeal to Quidditch for like Harry Potter people as well as like non-Harry Potter.
Just the sport, yeah.
But I think the first question was like, which house do I think I am? To my best extent of how well I know the houses, I like to think I'm Gryffindor, because they're really about like loyalty and like faithfulness, kind of. To what I understand, I like to think that's me, but I'm not really sure. I haven't taken any like of the tests or anything.
You're probably a Gryffindor.
Maybe someday I can do that, but I do think there might be one day where Sam Houston kind of we might start splitting people up into houses, and we'll see which one you're in. You know, you're Slytherin.
I was gonna say I think I'm still Slytherin. During the House Cup, I was putting Slytherin, and we took home the gold. So I mean, it's because the best house. What about you, Reilly? Do you know what house you are?
Yeah, I'm Slytherin as well. Y'all made me retake the test.
That's why we're good. That's why we have a podcast together.
Yeah.
We understand each other. You know, we get along. Yeah.
It's a great time.
Gryffindor. Mm-hmm. Anyway.
Anyways,
if you know what house you are, tell us in our comments.
Yes,
We'd
please.
love to know what house you guys are. But, okay, well, do you know any of the Harry Potter characters other than Harry Potter?
I know, like, the main three, yeah.
Okay, well, out of the three of them, which one do you think you relate to the most?
I think Ron.
Mm-hmm.
Probably. I probably relate to him the most. But then again, I've seen like 3 movies, so.
3 of the 7 movies. 3 of the 8 movies. There's 8
Yeah,
of them
because the
right
last one's split in half, or
Yeah.
split in 2. What about you, Joan?
there. Out of the 3 of them? Ooh.
Just favorite character,
Oh,
which one you relate to?
The one I relate to, I like to think I'm a Luna Lovegood because
Gotcha.
she's
Mhm.
kind of
I've
out there,
heard that name before.
but every once in a while she'll have like something inspirational
Good
to
job,
say.
Sam.
He said, "Oh yeah, that one. Yeah,
I've heard that. I don't know who it is.
That's okay. She's the blonde one, but she's pretty funny. I like her a lot. But yeah, I think I'm probably a Luna, where I'm out there most of the time, and then every once in a while I'll say something really inspirational to inspire other people.
Yes.
And then I go back to being myself. You know?
Yeah.
I think so.
She's
What about
kind of
you?
like in her own little bubble. I
She is.
like
She
Sirius.
Sirius Black?
Yeah. I'm a big fan. Prison of Azkaban is my favorite book.
Mine too.
Wow.
Wow. You haven't read the book. Do you have a favorite though, like out of the 3 movies you've seen?
Probably the first one. I did read the first book.
Okay.
Mhm.
So.
Yeah, that's essential.
Yeah, it was like in like 4th or 5th grade, so it was a long time ago. But I mean, because of that, that'd probably be my favorite movie too. Like,
Mhm.
just because it was. I don't even remember. I went and saw it in theaters. I think my parents went and saw like another movie, and they're like, "You're gonna watch Harry Potter." It was probably like a movie I wasn't old enough to watch, so they're like,
That's
"Here's
funny.
a kid movie."
Yeah, here's a
was
kid
like,
movie. Watch
Yeah,
this.
cool. I read that book, and I remember really liking the first movie, but so I mean the first one would have to be my favorite, but
Yeah.
Nice.
I think I probably like the first movie the best.
Mhm.
Like I just liked watching the first movie, but I really do like Prisoner of Azkaban the book.
Yeah. I think I'd have to agree.
Yeah. Just cuz like the first movie, I mean, it's really good.
It is.
And I mean, it's just like the book,
Mhm.
and it's pretty
I'd say
amazing
the first
to
3
see.
stay pretty close to the book.
I'd agree with that.
Mhm.
Yeah. I just always think it's amazing like how they did that, especially for 2001.
Mm-hmm.
It's like 2001, we didn't have all the fancy stuff we have now.
Yeah.
You know, or like towards the end of the series, I guess. Yeah, I want to say trilogy. I don't know why. It's definitely not a trilogy. But so I just like seeing how they put together the movie that way. Or even Chamber of Secrets, like that snake, half of it's real because they didn't have the CGI to do the face.
Okay.
So they actually,
Really?
I didn't know that.
yeah, they actually built a basilisk. He's huge, but so like the tail, like the back half of him is fake, but the head is real. And he's
That's
like
cool.
animatronic, kind of like a Jurassic Park dinosaur.
Yeah. Like what are they called? They're like on-set puppets or something like that. There's like an actual name for them.
The animatronics.
Yeah, but they like have a name,
Cool.
not just animatronics. That'll save that for another time. Anyways.
Animatronics.
No, it's something else.
Okay.
Okay. Anyways. Moving on.
Anyways,
we can put it in the comments.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes.
Put it,
We'll figure it out later.
we'll talk about this later. Another video. So, have you seen any of the Harry Potter spin-offs, like the Fantastic Beasts series or anything like
I
that?
have not actually.
No.
Disappointment.
It's fine. I didn't write these questions. No, I'm just kidding. This isn't my question.
I
You
mean,
answered all
that's
my
true.
questions.
Oh,
These
yeah.
are Reilly's, so you just gotta apologize to her.
That's fine. I just wanted some more so we could kill time. Anyways, what about you, Joan?
Me?
Yeah. How do you feel about any of the Harry Potter spin-off?
I like the Fantastic Beasts series.
Okay.
I think it's really good. Kind of crazy. I'm not sure. I like the first one a lot more than the second one, only because the first one has more Fantastic Beasts in it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what I'm looking forward into a movie about them.
The beasts.
Yeah, exactly. But I think they're taking an interesting plot, like way with it. So I'm interested to see how those end. However, I firmly believe The Cursed Child is not a Harry Potter book, and
Okay.
therefore cannot be held at the same level as a Harry Potter book.
Yeah.
I was very disappointed when I read it, and still disappointed in it.
Mm-hmm.
Don't agree with it at all.
Okay.
Unnecessary to the series. Not even written by J.K. Rowling, so.
But The Cursed Child, there's a play.
No.
People, like, rave about it, though. Like, there have been good reviews for the play.
I feel like anybody who really enjoys The Cursed Child just didn't really pay attention to the rest of the books. Because, I mean, there's so many... I could go on a whole tangent about it, but there's just so many things that happen in The Cursed Child that after the characters that she set up in these original books,
Mm-hmm.
they would never do.
Mm.
Like, in my opinion, they would not ever be that way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm trying to say it without giving spoilers in case someone wants to go head-to-head with me on this and go out and buy the book and read the book
Mm-hmm.
and then come and tell me everything I'm wrong about. But it is not on my recommendations.
Okay.
And it is not a Harry Potter book. It's just not one. I'm sorry.
Okay.
It's not. What about you?
It's okay. I don't have strong opinions against it. I just had a question. I did like Mysterious Beasts.
Fantastic.
Just kidding.
Fake fan.
I only saw it once, and it was a while ago. But I did enjoy my time watching it. I still haven't seen a second one, but
It's good.
it was a nice
It's a
time.
good one. I like Newt.
Yeah.
He's a good main character.
Mm-hmm.
He's mostly because he doesn't try to pick a side. I kind of like that.
Yeah.
Because sometimes, like especially in that series, there is a distinctive bad guy, but there's no really distinctive good guys either. And so I like that he's just kind of like the middleman.
Yeah.
So I do appreciate what they did to his character. This is all very cinematic stuff.
Yes.
Anyway.
Anyways. Are we doing
now,
our fun questions?
the fun questions.
This is the ones
These
we
are
do
the ones
every
where we find
episode.
out what kind of human you are.
Yes.
Do you prefer cake or pie?
Young me would have said cake. Now I would have to say pie. I kind of lost my sweet tooth.
That's a high five. Okay. We
Or
can
a
handshake
shake.
that too.
Yes.
Yes.
We're adults. We handshake.
We handshake now.
Not high
But
five. What are
yes.
you talking
That'd be
about?
funny. It was more awkward.
It was more just a handshake. A sideways handshake too. Awesome. I'm glad you picked pie. I think he's our first person to actually pick pie. Like to actually say the word pie.
Okay.
Okay. Isn't he the first person we've interviewed
I
to
think
actually
so.
say
Has
pie?
everyone else said cake or just like pie in a really weird way? Why
Other
do you
people
say
said
pie?
Because we
Well-
had our foreign exchange students, and they said they're like foreign desserts.
Desserts. So
And
they didn't
then-
pick cake or pie. They
It's not an
picked
option.
specific desserts
That's
And
not
then-
option. Then we had cake.
and cookies.
Yes. Yeah, and it's just been you.
And now
Said
it's
pie.
you. Pie.
I just love some pumpkin pie.
Pumpkin
So good.
pie. I respect
Yeah.
that. Respect that.
Thanksgiving time.
A nice
It's my
little
favorite.
seasonal dish.
But I like when it's made just right to where like it tastes like pumpkin, but it's still pretty sweet. You know, and you don't like taste. It doesn't taste like you bit into a pumpkin. It's
I don't
like
even care. I'm just yeah.
Just give
Oh,
me
you
a
didn't
said
tell me
slice.
pumpkin
Pumpkin
pie,
pie.
all of it. That's awesome.
I want to say a whole pumpkin pie, like just
Really?
one sitting. Yeah,
Wow.
it was a challenge. It got kind of ugly towards the end. My sister tried to convince me to stop.
You
You know,
gotta-
I got goals, you know.
Oh. I have a goal.
He's like, I have to
I have
prove
to
myself.
finish.
I am worthy. That's awesome. She tried to stop me towards the end of it, but it's fine. All right, here's another one: Marvel or DC?
DC all the way.
Really?
Yeah,
Ooh,
I
who's your
love,
favorite
I love
character?
DC. It's always a toss up between Batman and Flash. They're
Gotcha.
two very opposite kind of characters, but
Mainstream.
I don't know. I've always just loved reading the Batman and Flash comics. I kind of like the darker aspect of DC.
Gotcha.
Yeah, that's true. It is
Um,
much darker.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you know, if they can, hopefully they can kind of get these movies going a little better. The movie universe hasn't been as great as the comics and the animated universe,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
which animated DC kind of like wipes the table. Like I love the series as well as all the little animated movies.
Mm-hmm.
If you haven't seen Flashpoint Paradox,
I've actually heard that
amazing. It's I think it might be R. It's,
Do you
yeah,
watch The
it's really
Flash, like the
intense.
show?
I did for a little while. I watched all of season 1. End of season 1 was absolutely amazing, and then I don't know what I just don't watch that much TV anymore.
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't pick it back up once season 2 started.
Gotcha.
So I'm not really sure. I guess I just didn't really have cable at the time. But yeah, I need to watch the rest of Flash. I know just from season 1, like the special effects weren't the best, just because it was like a TV show and then it had like the top end like production. But the story was still pretty good.
Gotcha.
I enjoy the TV series a lot.
Yeah. You did say also Batman. I respect the Flash, but you did also say Batman, and that's probably my favorite DC character. What about you, Reilly? Who's your favorite DC character?
That's a good question.
No, I'm just kidding. Who are you choosing? I'm kind of interested now with the long pause.
Batman's yeah. He's pretty solid.
I really like Batman.
Between all the
I don't know. I like the villains better in DC better than the heroes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then like all the good villains, even just amongst DC, there's so many just in the that are Batman's villains.
Oh, yeah. Just imagine living in Gotham.
Yeah.
Why? Why does anyone ever live in Gotham? At this point, like, just move.
It's really cheap housing, okay?
Apparently, yeah. There's a reason why.
That's it.
The property tax is real low there, you know?
Yeah.
But
yeah, even like, because those are DC, like all of the DC's comics, like they kind of put all their marbles into Batman, because DC even stands for Detective Comics.
Mm-hmm.
Batman was kind of like the front runner of like what all of DC put all their effort into. So even all the good villains in the DC world are like in Batman's universe, and like Joker, Penguin, Two-Face, and like all the classics.
Mm-hmm.
Classic, but everyone always forgets about is Clayface. I love Clayface.
Clayface is funny.
So awesome. But
I also appreciate the Riddler. Good. The Riddler's pretty cool.
The Riddler's really good. He's really hard to translate into like on screen, because he's he's so joking, and like
Jim Carrey gave it a solid shot.
Jim Carrey did really good with it. Yeah. I don't know if anyone can do better than Jim Carrey.
He is the Riddler. Like, let's
he
be
really
honest.
is. He really
Out of
is.
all the characters he's played, I think he is the Riddler.
Yeah. I like Nigma in the Gotham series. He was pretty good, but it's just those green tights are kind of hard to get around.
My only problem with the Robins is like, put pants on.
Yeah.
The original Robins are like, put
yeah.
pants on. I think that's my favorite joke that they made in Lego Batman, which I think is a valid Batman movie. Like,
yeah.
He's earned his rank.
I actually haven't seen that one.
It's better than Batman and Robin, so I mean,
it's... I mean, it's not saying much.
That's
but...
true. That's true. It's up there. It's awesome.
But, yeah, I've only seen Lego Movie and Lego Movie 2. I haven't seen the Batman Lego movie.
You have to watch the Batman. Everyone should watch the Batman
Lego movie 2. I need to see it.
It's pretty good.
We have Lego on Blu-ray, and I think we have Lego Batman now. That's really funny. Michael Cera's Robin, and it's so funny.
He's so cute.
I think Zach Galifianakis is the Joker.
He is. It's adorable.
Oh,
and Will Arnett's Batman. Like, could you ask for a better cast? Oh, it's so awesome. After watching the Lego movie, I was like, oh, this is a pretty interesting concept. I kind of like this. And then they said Lego Batman, and my family and I went in with, like, low expectations, and it was phenomenal.
That's so funny.
It's probably one of the best animated films I've ever seen. It's one that, as an adult, I own. Like, I personally own it. I don't own very many movies, but one I do own is
You don't
Lego
own very
Batman.
many movies.
I like animated movies.
I guess
I personally
somewhat
own.
related. Spider-Verse. Y'all seen that?
Oh my goodness.
So
It's amazing.
freaking good.
It was so great.
I wanted to see it.
The whole first part, because going into I had no expectations, and I was like, hey, it's gonna be like a new Spider-Man. It's not Peter Parker. I don't really know how I feel about it. Like 30 minutes into the movie, I was like, this is freaking cool.
It
like
is so good.
I like this Spider-Man a lot, and the animation was so good.
Especially with, like, it did for Best Animated Feature of 2018, and it deserved it so much. Yeah. But, like, the 3D people with the 2D comic book background, I think it's just amazing. Like, technology.
Peter Porker.
Peter Porker.
Best Spider-Man ever.
Agreed. He is so awesome. John Mulaney did a great job with that.
Was that John Mulaney?
It's John Mulaney who plays
God,
Peter
I
Porker.
Love John Mulaney.
And
I didn't realize it was him.
Nick Cage plays Noir Spider-Man. Spider-Man Noir, or the Detective Spider-Man.
Oh, okay,
where he's all dramatic. He's in all the dark colors. Yes. Oh, man. It's
Best line of the movie. It's a spoiler, but it's just I frolic and I dance. I do this with my pants, and it's just like super like Looney Tunes. Like
I just like I
lost in the theater. I'm the worst at being around in the theater because I'll just like belch out laughing.
Oh my god!
People hate being around me, but I lost it right there.
I love when at the end he pulls that hammer out and he's like, "Here, this is for you. It's pocket sized." And you're like, "Goodbye, Peter Parker." He was so beautiful. He's who you calling a cartoon? He's so good.
I need it to get on Netflix so I can watch it.
Yes, I think it's out on DVD. You know what? I'm just gonna buy it. Yes, I have to go buy it.
Do we have a Redbox coupon?
I don't think it's at Redbox yet.
Dang
it's probably just on DVD. I'm sorry.
Upsetting.
But it's yes, the Into the Spider-Verse is definitely a cinematic masterpiece.
Oh yeah.
But if you like that one, then you'd like Lego Batman because the humor is very similar throughout it, and it's hilarious. Except then it's all making fun of Batman instead, and Iron Man.
Superman.
Superman. Yeah, sometimes like I don't get Superman's emails for like months.
Yeah,
and you're like, oh, poor Green Lantern. They're also mean to Green Lantern.
Yeah.
And, like the running jokes from like the Lego movie are still in it too.
Oh,
so
nice.
like Green Lantern's like the butt of every joke.
Mhm.
It's beautiful.
It really is.
Worth the time. And the Blockbuster. Go find out your local Blockbuster, kids.
Blockbuster.
You remember Blockbuster?
Yeah.
I love Blockbuster.
It was like every Friday night.
Yeah.
My family went to Blockbuster. It was such a trip.
So great.
So sad when they all
R.I.P.
R.I.P. Yes. Oh, I remember one time, the only time I've ever been in San Antonio where it actually like froze over to where everything was shut down, work, like everything closed. Except for Blockbuster. And so my dad and I like scraped the ice off our car, went to Blockbuster and got like 5 movies. And then we just watched them all throughout the day. It was awesome. That's probably my favorite memory of Blockbuster.
Mm-hmm.
It's Blockbuster. It's great.
It's a great time, man.
Everybody loves Blockbuster. Speaking of Blockbusters and movies, what is your personal favorite movie?
Personal favorite movie?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, is that a question on there?
It is.
I missed that one.
Dang it.
I feel like you have to do a genre. I don't know if I can.
A genre?
Because there's 3 movies that come to mind, and 2 are like very serious. One is just like the complete opposite.
Well, just give us those
I'll
top 3.
Let us know.
It would be Interstellar.
Oh, that's a good one.
Oh my goodness, it's escaping me. The Revenant, and then Waterboy. So if you give me comedy, I would say Waterboy. Definitely.
Waterboy.
But like,
yes.
Like serious, kind of dramatic movies, it'd be between Interstellar and The Revenant. Or probably Interstellar. I'd probably have to go with Interstellar. That's such a good movie.
It's got an awesome soundtrack. Like,
the soundtrack is amazing.
It's really good. That's the one with Matthew McConaughey, right?
Yeah.
Yes. Just making sure. There's a lot of space movies.
Space.
Yeah, it's a good one. It is.
But
that's very true.
Yeah. What about yours though?
I can't remember what I said last time. Sometimes my favorite movies actually, no, it doesn't really change. Hot Fuzz with Simon Pegg and Nick Frost will always probably be one of my favorite movies. Mm-hmm. Next would be Ghostbusters, the original one.
Yes.
Just because it like set the standards for all comedies.
Yeah.
No comedy movie has been re-released in the theaters twice in the same year and has hit like all the marks that it has.
I didn't know it got re-released twice.
Didn't know that?
Really?
It went back because of popular demand.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's because it's an awesome movie.
Yeah.
It's so good.
Great.
It's a great movie. Yeah, love Ghostbusters. What about you?
Well, I always say the Goofy movie because nostalgia.
Nostalgia.
And I love the soundtrack. And I just think it's a really cute little movie. I also really love School of Rock. I quote that movie all the time.
School of Rock's so good.
School of Rock is so funny. And I think probably the first Avengers film. That one's really great. I think that would be like my top 3 right now. But I mean, it kind of changed.
Like kind of the hype that kind of came up to Avengers, because it hadn't really been done before. Like so many like crossovers at the same time, and like I just remember people be like, all these superheroes are going to be in the movie, like in the same movie.
Yeah.
Like together.
That was one of my.
It was a cool feeling. Like, when
Yeah.
it came out.
That was one of my favorite movie experiences because the theater was packed. Like, we didn't go opening night, but we went, I think, opening week, or maybe even the week after, but the theater was packed. And so, of course, we got kind of close to the screen, but I just love, I don't know, the energy in the theater was really cool. Like, every joke, people were just, like, belly laughing, and just on all the action scenes, you could just feel, like, you know, the excitement in the room. It was a really cool experience, especially the part when Hulk like throws Loki around. He slaps him around. Yes. The whole theater was just like dying laughing. It was so funny. It was a great experience. I just remember that it was like one of my favorite times going to go see a movie in the theater.
Yeah, I honestly think the first Avengers movie was the one that actually like pulled me into the Marvel, because like I went to go see Captain America, and I was not allowed to watch the first Iron Man for a little while because he's Iron Man. But I remember watching the first Captain America movie and being like, oh, this is pretty cool. Chris Evans, okay, love of my life, you know, all this stuff, and then going to see the Avengers movie, and like it was everyone, like, the whole gang's here. It was just crazy, but at the same time, like no character was neglected. It was, everyone had, like, their own little character plays. Yeah. Coulson, wherever he is, he's not dead. Hold on.
Yeah.
Coulson's probably
Agents
still alive.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Yeah, he got his own little spinoff. But, like, after watching that Avengers movie, I remember just being like, all right, guess I'm a Marvel fan now. And I went back and I watched all the ones that came out, and I've seen all the ones that have come out. I was like, well, Marvel, I guess, is the way I watch movies now.
The way I watch movies.
The way I watch movies now.
Gotcha.
All right, and so for our last question, Mr. Sam, what is something you want to leave with our listeners about Quidditch? Like, if you get tied up.
If you have a local Quidditch team, whether you're in college or just there's one close to your community, figure out what time they play. Figure out what time they practice. Go out, even if you just spectate. If you are up to it, bring a pair of cleats. The biggest thing about Quidditch is kind of the inclusiveness of the whole Quidditch community. Like, we really just want to, like, share the sport, include everyone we can, and just play a fun sport together and kind of grow the community. But the inclusivity, if that's the right word I'm looking for, is very strong with the Quidditch community. I think that's one of the best things you can kind of go out and share with them. So if they're pretty easy to find. If you just go to Facebook and type Quidditch around, or like it'll usually pop up with the club that's closest to you. So
nice.
Yeah, so that'd be the lasting impression I think I would have to leave on Quidditch.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much, Sam.
Thank you
for being a part of our episode today. Yes. Joan, would you like to close us out?
You know I'd love to, Miss Reilly. Yes. If you like this video, make sure to give us a big thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. We have new content every Monday. Also, make sure to hit the little bell for your alarms. Ding! So you can find out when our new videos are up. If you aren't already, go ahead and follow us on Instagram and Twitter at GroundFloorCo14. I'm Joan.
And I'm Reilly.
Thanks for listening.
Woo-woo.